So you guys can read along if you like, or you guys can just relax to it. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. Firepaw sat up very straight, anxious to impress this distinguished clan warrior. That's right, he mewed respectfully. Tigerclaw eyed him thoughtfully. Then I shall watch your progress with interest. Firepaw puffed his chest out proudly as Tigerclaw stalked away. Do you think he liked me? I don't think Tigerclaw likes any apprentices, whispered Greypaw. Just then, Ravenpaw stirred and twitched his ears. Has he gone? He mumbled. Who? Tigerclaw, replied Greypaw, trotting toward him. Yep, he's gone. Hi there, Firepaw began, about to introduce himself. Go away, both of you, Spotted protested. How am I meant to help this cat with all these interruptions? She impatiently flicked her tail at Greypaw and Firepaw and pushed her way between them and her patient. Firepaw realized she was serious, despite the lively glimmer in her warm amber eyes. Come on then, Firepaw, mewed Greypaw. I'll show you around. See you later, Ravenpaw. The two cats left with Ravenpaw and walked across the clearing. Greypaw looked thoughtfully. He was clearly taking his duties as a guide very seriously. You know the high rock. Already, he began flicking his tail toward the big, smooth rock. Blue Star always addresses the clan from there. Her den is down there. He lifted his nose toward a hollow in the side of the high rock. Her den was carved out many moons ago by an ancient stream. Hanging lichen draped the entrance, sheltering the leader's nest from wind and rain. The warriors sleep over here, Greypaw went on. Firepaw followed him to a large bush a few paces away from the high rock. There was a clear view from here down to the course entrance into the camp. The branches of the bush hung low, and Firepaw could see a sheltered space inside where the warriors made their nests. The senior warriors sleep nearest the center, where it's the warmest, explained Greypaw. They usually share their fresh kill together, over by their clump of nettles. The younger warriors eat nearby. Sometimes they are invited to join the senior warriors for eating, which is a big honor. What about the other clan cats? Firepaw asked, fascinated but feeling rather overwhelmed by all the traditions and rituals of clan life. Well, the queens share warrior quarters when they work as warriors, but when they are expecting kids or nursing them, they stay in the nest near the nursery. The elders have their own place on the other side of the clearing. Come on, I'll show you. Firepaw trotted after Greypaw across the clearing and past the shadowy corner where Spotted Leaf had her den. They stopped beside a fallen tree that sheltered a patch of lush grass. Crouched among the soft greenery were four elderly cats, tucking into a plump young rabbit. Dustpaw and Sandpaw would have brought them that, whispered Greypaw. One of the apprentices' duty is catching fresh kill for the elders. Hello, youngster, one of the elders greeted Greypaw. Hello, small ear, mewed Greypaw, nodding respectfully. This must be our new apprentice. Firepaw, isn't it? Meowed a second Tom. His patchy fur was dark brown, and there was only a stub where his tail should have been. That's right, Firepaw replied, copying Greypaw's polite nod. I'm half-tailed, purred the brown Tom. Welcome to the clan. Have you two eaten? Meowed Smallear. Firepaw and Greypaw both shook their heads. Well, there's enough here. Dustpaw and Sandpaw are turning into fine hunters. Would you mind if these youngsters shared a mouse? One eye. The pale gray queen who lay beside him shook her head. Firepaw noticed one of her eyes was clouded and sightless. What about you, Dappletail? The other elder, a tortoise-shell she-cat with a gray muzzle, meowed in a voice cracked with age. Of course not. Thank you, mewed Greypaw eagerly. He stepped forward and took a large mouse from the pile of prey, then dropped it at Firepaw's feet. You still haven't tasted mouse? He asked. No, Firepaw admitted. He suddenly felt excited by the warm smells that were rising from this piece of fresh kill. His whole body quivered at the thought of sharing his first meal food as a clan member. In that case, you can have first bite. Just save me some. Greypaw dipped his head and stood back to give Firepaw room. Firepaw crouched down and took a large bite from a mouse. It was juicy and tender, and sang with the flavors of the forest. "What do you think?" asked Greypaw. "Fantastic," mumbled Firepaw, his mouth still full. "Move over," that mewed Greypaw, stepping forward and bending his head to take a bite. As the two apprentices shared the mouse, they listened to the elders talk among themselves. "How long before Blue Star appoints a new deputy?" asked Small Ear. "What did you say, Small Ear?" mewed One Eye. "I think your hearing has become as poor as your eyesight," snapped Small Ear impatiently. "I said how long before Blue Star appoints a new deputy." One Eye ignored Small Ear's irritated reply and spoke instead to the tortoiseshell queen. "Dappletail, do you remember the day many moons ago when Blue Star herself was appointed deputy?" Dappletail mewed earnestly. "Oh yes, it was not long after she lost her kits." "She'll not be happy to be appointing a new deputy," Small Ear observed. "Redtail served her long and well, but she'll need to make up her mind quickly. According to clan custom, the choice has to be made before Moon Eye after the death of the old deputy." "At least this time the choice is obvious," meowed Halftail. Firepaw raised his head and looked around the clearing. Who could Halftail mean? To Firepaw, all the warriors looked worthy of becoming deputy. Perhaps he meant Tiger Claw. After all, he had avenged Redtail's death. Tiger Claw was sitting not far off, his ears angled toward the elders' conversation. As Firepaw stretched his tongue to lick the last traces of mouth from his whiskers, Blue Star's voice called from the high rock. Redtail's body still lay in the clearing below, pale gray in the fading light. "A new deputy must be appointed," she meowed. "But first, let us give thanks to Star Clan for the life of Redtail. Tonight he sits with his fellow warriors among the stars." Silence fell as all the cats looked up into the sky, which was beginning to darken as evening crept over the forest. "And now I shall name ThunderClan's new deputy," Blue Star continued. "I say these words before the body of Redtail so that his spirit may hear and approve my choice." Firepaw looked at Tiger Claw. He couldn't help noticing the hunger in the big warrior's amber eyes as he stared up at the high rock. "Lionheart," meowed Blue Star, "will be the new deputy of ThunderClan." Firepaw was curious to see Tiger Claw's reaction, but the dark warrior's face revealed nothing. As he moved to congratulate Lionheart with a nudge of Hardy that it almost pushed the golden tabby off balance. Why didn't she make Tiger Claw deputy?" Firepaw whispered to Greypaw. Probably because Lionheart has been a warrior longer, so he has a lot more experience." Greypaw murmured back, still looking up at Blue Star. Blue Star spoke again. "Redtail was also mentor to young Dustpaw. Since there must be no delay in the training of our apprentices, I shall appoint Dustpaw's new mentor immediately. Darkstripe, you are ready for your first apprentice, so you'll continue Dustpaw's training. You got a fine mentor in Tiger Claw, and I expect you to pass on some of the excellence skills you were taught." The tabby warrior swelled with pride as he showed his acceptance with a solemn nod. He strode over to Dustpaw, bent his head, and rather awkwardly touched noses with his new apprentice. Dustpaw flicked his tail respectfully, but his eyes were still dull with grief from his lost mentor. Blue Star raised her voice. "I shall keep a vigil with Redtail's body tonight, before we bury him at sunrise." She jumped down from the high rock and walked over to lie beside Redtail's body once more. Many of the other cats joined her. Dustpaw and Smalley are among them. Should we sit with them too? Firepaw suggested. He had to admit the idea didn't appeal to him much. It had been a busy day and he was beginning to feel tired. All he wanted to do was find somewhere warm and dry to curl up and sleep. Greypaw shook his head. No, only those who were closest to Redtail will share this final night. I'll show you where we sleep. The apprentice's den is over here. Firepaw followed Greypaw to the thick bush of ferns that lay behind a mossy tree stump. All the apprentices share their fresh kill by this stump, Greypaw told him. How many apprentices are there? Firepaw asked. Not as many as usual, just me, you, Ravenpaw, Dustpaw, and Sandpaw. As Greypaw and Firepaw settled themselves beside the tree stump, a young she-cat crawled out from beneath the ferns. Her coat was ginger like Firepaw's, but much paler with barely visible stripes of darker fur. So here comes the new apprentice, she meowed, narrowing her eyes. Hello, Firepaw mewed. The young cat sniffed rudely. He smells like a kitty pet. Don't tell me I'm going to have to share my nest with that revolting stench. Firepaw felt rather taken back. Since his fight with Longtail, all the cats had been quite friendly. Maybe they had just been distracted by Ravenpaw's news, he thought. You'll have to excuse Sandpaw, apologized Greypaw. I think she must have a furball stuck somewhere. She's not usually this bad-tempered. Psst, spat Sandpaw crossly. Hold on, youngsters, the deep voice of Whitestorm. Surrounded behind the apprentices. Sandpaw as my apprentice. I expected you to be a little bit more welcoming to the newcomer. Sandpaw held up her head and looked defiant. I'm sorry, Whitestorm, she purred, not sounding sorry at all. I just didn't expect to be training with a kitty pet, that's all. I'm sure you'll get used to it, Sandpaw, meowed Whitestorm calmly. Now it's getting late and training starts early tomorrow. You three should get some sleep. He gave Sandpaw a stern look and she nodded obediently. As she walked off, she spun around and vanished into the clump of ferns, sniffing once more as she brushed past Firepaw. With a flick of his tail, Greypaw invited Firepaw to follow him and he led the way after Sandpaw. Inside the sleeping area, the ground was lined with soft moss, and the pale moonlight turned everything a delicate shade of green. The air was fragrant with fern scent and warmer than the outside. Where do I sleep? Firepaw asked. Anywhere, just so long as it's not near me, snarled Sandpaw, who was prodding some moss with her paw. Greypaw and Firepaw exchanged glances but said nothing. Firepaw ragged together a pile of moss with his claws. Then he had gathered his bed into a cozy nest. He circled until it was comfortable and settled down. His whole body felt drowsy with contentment. This was his home now. He was a member of ThunderClan. So, that was the end of Chapter 4, Part 2. And next Friday, I will read Chapter 5. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see